Hello, we are the Geek Show. I am Rob, and today we're here to talk about some video games, specifically PES 2019. Now, while you're here, do check out some of the other videos we got. Like, subscribe, and there's a link in the description below that'll give you, it'll take you to our website, which has all sorts of manner of podcasts, written reviews, this and that. Now, before I go any further, there's a few caveats that I have to drop before we get into PES 2019. Number one, this was captured on a PlayStation 4, not a PlayStation 4 Pro, before it went live, the game, so there's no day one update, it's pre that. Also, like I said, it was recorded on PlayStation 4, not the Pro, so it doesn't have that same slickness that the leaks and the gameplay footage and the trailers and the whatnot had, which I know I should expect, but still the difference between what those games, trailers and gameplay was suggesting and what this is a little bit disappointing, because the way it looks graphically, at least, and other ways that I'll bring up later when it's relevant, it doesn't really look much different than 2018. And the whole thing here was they're not doing it on PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360, so it allows them to give more of the game engine over to be as good as it possibly can be, rather than to accommodate a multitude of systems and capabilities, which disappointing. But it's a constant development cycle with these things, so who knows what the future holds. The big sort of, the elephant in the room, let's say, of PES is the lack of licenses. Now, it's got the Belgium League, it's got the Turkish League, it's got the Swiss League, Eredivisie is always well represented, as the French League, and most of the Italian leagues here, with the exception of Juventus, which is what this gameplay will reveal. Where are they? It's just out of sight. We'll get to them eventually. But the point of the licenses is, let's take FIFA. FIFA, you get the licenses for all sorts of manner of leagues. That's great. But what you see is what you get. And that's good, that's fine for a lot of people. They don't want to sort of dig into the edit file and see what's what there. But with PES fans, it's kind of par for the course. Going back to the early PlayStation days where all of the players had wrong names, but you knew who they were referring to. It's just part of the series' DNA. But in the 21st century, in the 2019 edition, God, that's weird to say. There we go, PM Black. That's Black White, that's Juventus. But in this most recent iteration, and the most recent iterations in general speaking, there's a freedom there, I feel. You can just leave them as they are, or you can, like we did back in the day, print out all the team names for all the leagues, copy them down, and update them in the edit file. And the similar token, you can sort of just make the teams that aren't available into something that you want instead. It's total creative freedom. I would invoke the modder scene, give or take a little bit, but it's that sort of specialisation that you can make the game that you want to make. And when you go back in history of games where you have to make a game last as long as humanly possible, that idea of you sort of crafting what you want is great. Of course, if you are, I wouldn't say lazy, but let's say less committed. There are some very, very, very talented people, websites like PES Universe or PES World, who'll do that for you basically. You download a file, option file, let's say a week or two in a development cycle, they're not machines, and that'll fill in a lot of the blanks for you. So there's the German league is usually one that you want to fill in, because it's got Schalke this year after the whole Borussia Dortmund dropping, and it's also got other bits and pieces. So the edit is kind of a perspective thing. If you come from this to FIFA, which, given a lot of the early comments about the new FIFA, it's a very strong possibility. Don't judge it too harshly because it's not got all the licenses under the sun. Now, this is manager mode, or career mode, or as it's called in PES, Master League. And this is the first thing that you'll see when you enter there, and this is something which I think is genuinely just better than FIFA again, because you can make your own guy. You see in a lot of the promotional stuff for FIFA that they have this massive 3D camera rig where they put all the little dots on people's faces to map them out like within an inch of their life, and it's really authentic. Konami don't have that same budget, so they have like a really in-depth facial tinkerer. So however long you want to put into this, you can genuinely make yourself, and as the sped up footage implies, I didn't really have the time or the inclination, so I just make something that looks generally like you. It's quite powerful. You can make literally anything or anybody with this. I'm not going to say this is authentic to what I look like, but, well, that's what the option file's for, isn't it, if you want authenticity. And when you start Master League, again, after you've made your character, you have this. There's press conferences in FIFA, but it's just a matter of sticking praise or motivate or unsettle. This, it has press conferences in a classical sense. So you have a literal avatar that has a literal impact and presence on the world, rather than just a pre-selected avatar, which kinda maybe might look like you. And there's two versions to Master League. There's Challenge mode and Classic mode. Classic mode is just kind of free reign to do what you want, really. Whereas a Challenge mode, it gives... That's nice as well, that like an interview that I have joining these. But yeah, Challenge mode, it's more of the owner has like an impact on whether you're doing well or how to judge you're doing well or not. So it's interesting. It gives it more of an authenticity. But let's be fair, Master League hasn't really changed, because we're talking about, I don't know, 5 years at least, that it's the hub has basically looked like this. I mean, sure, there's fine nuances to what it is, including the transfer system, but generally speaking, it's the same. I know they said in the promotional material that it's the first year of a 3-year cycle to basically make PES Master League what it always threatened to be, really. Which is inspiring, but when this is the first year on that cycle, well, that's all I'll say. But it's got good things, Master League. One thing I particularly like is the transfer window, which this footage is taking place at now. In a transfer window, there's obviously a limited amount of time, and every job that you do takes up a specific amount of time. So see, I sign there Dragowski, and it'll take, say, 2 hours or so. I think a better example here is I accept an offer for one of my centre-backs on Master League, and that doesn't just... It's not click, done, finished, over. It actually takes time out of the allowance for Master League. Say 2 hours. It takes 2 hours to sign that player off. And that sort of depth is fantastic, I think. I'll come back to the transfer system in a little bit. So, yeah, the gameplay. This reminds me of old PES. Not in the way that it's sort of old-fashioned or old hat. More in the sense of... when we're going back to the numbered PES, so PES 5, PES 6, before it became PES 18, 17, whatever. Every game felt like a new game, and what I mean to say there is every time you got the next iteration, you had to learn how to play the game again, and the big evolution here is the passing system. Where football games, let's be fair, there's been a degree of on rails to them, where you could just pass it about like, well, it didn't really mean anything, to be honest. Whereas now, I guess the best way to describe it is the ball feels like it has some sort of, like it's potentially another player. It bounces awkwardly. It goes sometimes where you're not expecting it to. Ricochets in weird places and in weird directions. So it requires a bit more of a reactive way to play. Like that little fumble there kind of implied. So it again, it's the running is very nice. Defenders aren't stupid. You'll have players make runs, intelligent runs, so it doesn't feel like the only time a player will be doing anything positive is when you or a friend is controlling them via co-op. So it creates opportunities that you can make nice goals like that on your own, rather than, it just makes football feel more like football. I know that's a really weird thing to say, but it makes it feel like a living game rather than a on rails passing simulator, which is what it has been in the past. And what I do like about it is the passing also matters, because again, let's go back to FIFA. I feel it's been tailored a little bit too heavily to the skills, and I'm not very good at skills. That's why I don't like fighting games either. And once you get to a certain difficulty level, if you don't adopt those skills, it becomes harder than it need to be necessarily, which is fine, but it's just not for me. Whereas this, with that adoption of a more nuanced and more realised and realistic passing system, it makes the game feel more like unpredictable. Like anything can happen in any game, and especially with the pitch feeling a lot smaller, we're talking about sort of 3 good passes and you can go from defending to scoring, like real football. This is another new thing. A little animation you see there, I think there's 21 properly licensed stadiums, and it has a great deal of introduction to get you into a new stadium. A bit more of a sense of ceremony to it. I'll go back to the transfer system. I know it's not playing on screen now, but we'll talk about it. In the transfer system for the past how many years, I don't know how long it's been, there's been sort of a series of bars. The better manager you are, the higher rated manager you are, the more successful you are, the higher the bars will be for the better players. So you can stand a better chance of buying better players because you got more of a stature in the game, or you got more money, or whatever. And those bars have been kind of simple, they're very definite. You definitely stand a 4 in 5 chance of signing this player. But with the introduction of a system where you have to negotiate with both your player and you want to buy and the team, and it'll have a percentage. So if you do certain things, it will increase your chances, or if you take away certain things, it will decrease your chances. Also, there's the intricate words. You know what I'm trying to say. I stumbled over it. That with the quick subs. But anyway, yeah. If you negotiate with a player, not interrogate, sorry, you will increase your chances. And again, it's more of a living, breathing negotiation system. It increases the flexibility of the Master League, really, and opens it up in new ways. It's not like revolutionary by any stretch of the imaginations, but it's fresh and it's new. How good this is, though, it's all about the competition. So as far as getting a good month in before FIFA comes out, it's basically hit the ground running. So it's very good, very positive so far, and only time will tell whether FIFA is again to be fearful of the competition or whether it just sort of runs away at the top. of the industry of football games, and I'd like to see the competition again, because PlayStation 2 era for football games was outstanding. And that's me out, and we'll see you next time on the Geek Show.